Hi guys, my name is Brother Jack, and I am here with you today to share with you some of the experiences which I had together with a Spanish friar whose name is Fra Antonio. Now, Fra Antonio and I spent 1 month on the streets of Spain evangelizing, and our evangelization consisted in a style of life which is called itinerancy. Now, this basically meant that Antonio and I, we left our convents without any money, without any food, equipped with a large backpack. And in our backpack we had a sleeping bag, a change of clothes, a breviary, Bible, and a toothbrush. and we hit the streets with the aim of wandering around the diocese of Terrassa for 1 month. Now, the diocese of Terrassa is situated not too far from the city of Barcelona. And so now, during this month of wandering and roaming, we had to learn to live day by day. Antonio and I did not know where we were going to sleep. We did not know what we were going to eat. We did not know who we were going to meet. So leaving our convent, it was truly an act of faith. In fact, every day, every morning when we would leave somebody's home, it was a new act of faith, a new act of entrustment and abandonment to the providence of God. And what is great in all of this is that God does not disappoint those who trust in Him. And He did not disappoint us at all. He was immensely faithful. During these 4 weeks, do you know how many times we slept out on the streets? Not even one. Not even one. We lacked absolutely nothing. We ate well, we slept well, and we even had a shower every single day. And in Spain, my brothers, it is hot. It was very, very hot. However, I must say also, there were also some difficult moments. There were some uncomfortable moments. On a few occasions, we had to sleep on the ground. I think 2 or 3 times we had to take a cold shower. 3 or 4 times we had to beg some food. But on a whole, we lacked nothing. These are very small things. Now, our mission was guided by 2 principles. The first principle was that we were not to accept, and we did not want to accept any money. Oftentimes, people would try to convince us to take 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 euros. Saying to us, no, you can't stay out on the streets like that. It's not normal. It's not good. And we would always politely decline. And we would say to them, if you'd like to help us, you may buy something to eat. And so the person would walk together with us. They would take us to a restaurant. They would sit down with us, and they would buy us something to eat. And so that then would become the context in which we would evangelize. Because in fact our evangelization was done at table. Much of the contact, much of the time which we spent with people was spent during meal times or at a bar, or in a bar having something to drink. It's a style of mission which is very Jesus-like, because Jesus, when He was on earth, He spent time eating and drinking with sinners and prostitutes. He was accused of this, of being a drunkard and a glutton. And we did the same thing. We had even on one occasion, we met a group of men, about 6 men who were in a bar, who called out to us as they saw us walking by. So I approached them. They go, oh, you guys aren't real. You guys aren't real monks. I go, yeah, no, we most certainly are. And so he invited us to sit down and have a drink with him. And now these men were very, very solid characters, very rough-looking guys, tattooed, and they're also very gentle. They're also very gentle because they listened to us with great respect, and they were very, very humble and very, very open to the message of God and His love. And at a certain point in time, one of the guys says to us, he goes, "What you guys are doing is exactly what Jesus did." Because Jesus, would sit down and eat with people and drink with people. He wasn't locked up in some monastery on the top of a mountain. And I replied, mate, that's true. And the reason why we're out on the streets is because we want to bring the love of God and the presence of Jesus Christ close to people's lives, so that people may know that our God is not a God who is distant, who is far away in the heavens, but a God who is intimately present in your life and who offers you His love and His forgiveness and His salvation. And so this message was welcomed by these men in this bar with incredible docility. In fact, around us we were at first a group of 6, and then slowly there were other men and other women who came to join the group because they wanted to take part in the discussion and to listen to what was going on. So it was a style of mission which was, like I said, done at table. The second guideline which we had was we did not want to ask to be received by monasteries, by parishes, or by convents. We Franciscans, as you know, we have our own friaries. There wouldn't be much sense for us to leave our own convent only to go and then spend time in another convent. Our idea was to bring the person of Jesus Christ and the presence of His church closer to the lives of ordinary people. Now, if this meant that nobody welcomed us, we were ready to sleep out on the streets with the poor if we had to. Because we did this because we feel that there is a huge distance between the hierarchy and ordinary people. That between your ordinary man and our priest and bishop, there is an abyss. There is a huge distance, and there's no longer a communion between the two. And so we Franciscans have always served the church by being a kind of bridge between the hierarchy and the people. And so people often say to us, I believe in God, but I don't believe in priests. I don't believe in the church. But you Franciscans, you guys are cool. To which Antonio would say, but I'm also a priest. And so that they didn't want to listen to too much. But anyhow, they got the message that the church, however, is a lot greater and much richer than the hierarchy. The second, there was something also I'd like to share with you, that in our mission, the component of prayer was very, very present. So whenever we would be received into somebody's home, we would always pray with the family. We would always conclude the day with night prayer. We would sing psalms. We would sing the Salve Regina, and people, we felt literally a spiritual presence invade the home. The couple or the family who was praying with us, they would sense a presence of peace and of serenity, and they were literally amazed, they were mystified. There was something spiritual which was taking place right under their eyes. This was very, very frequent. In the mornings we would pray morning prayer. We would do a time of scripture sharing often. We would pray for their families. We'd bless the couples. We'd bless their children. Sometimes we would even bless their dogs. So the component of prayer was very, very important. In fact, in terms of material goods, Antonio and I had nothing to offer. We were dependent upon other people. We were dependent upon them for food, for shelter. We were dependent upon them also just to be able to for sanitary reasons, to be able to wash ourselves. And these people, happily, they met all of our material needs. However, what we had to offer was spiritual goods. We were able to offer our fraternity. We were able to offer our faith. We were able to offer our spiritual experiences, our experiences of God. We were able to offer our prayer. And so in this exchange, there was a true communion which was created between those who received us and we, the friars. And there was a divine encounter which took place. So much so that often, and I repeat, often people would say to us, it's as though Jesus Christ himself has entered into my home. They felt immensely blessed to have with them the presence of two Franciscans, and yet we did not do anything special. It was our simple presence for them was an extraordinary blessing from God. Now there was also another, the component of prayer was not limited to homes, to people's homes. We would also pray for people out in the open, in squares, out in the streets, in bars. For example, Antonia and I were walking along, and we come across 4 people sitting down drinking a beer on a bench in the middle of the street. And so we start speaking with this group, and each one of these people had spent a time in prison. And one of them even had his wife currently in jail. And so one of the men, after having showed to me a large tattoo of a Nazi symbol which was impressed upon his chest, he looked down at the cross which was hanging from my rosary, and he took my cross in his hand, and he looked at it with great affection, and he began to touch it with tenderness. So when I saw how he was before this cross, I immediately placed my hand upon his head, and I evoked upon him the blessing of God. And so the man is now looking directly at me, looking directly into my eyes as I'm praying for him. And he becomes deeply touched. His eyes fill with tears, and he's so moved that he's about to fall down. And so I placed my other hand behind his shoulder, so as to prevent him from falling, because I think, my God, if this guy falls, his buddies are gonna kill me. And so anyhow, now I have one hand upon his head, another hand behind his shoulder, and now this man grabs me in his arms. He hugs me with all of his strength, and while still clinging onto my cross, and he must have hugged me for at least 15 or 20 seconds. Now all of this is taking place in the street. There are cars going past. There are people who are walking by us. It was a public spectacle. But this man was touched by the Spirit, was touched by grace. And this is just one of the many experiences of prayer which we had out on the streets. I don't have the time to recount all of what we experienced and everything that we saw. These are just some of the encounters some of the graces that we received. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you all is because the works of God are to be praised. We are to tell of the glory of God and of His deeds. And so by sharing this with you, I would like to give thanks to my God and give Him praise for His faithfulness. And I'd like to ask you also to give Him thanks and praise together with me. May God bless you.